A couple of things.
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 Hi, and welcome to today's episode of A Couple of Things, a potpourri of my mind. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about things to consider when you receive a job offer, whether your first offer or if you have gotten offers before. Things that you may not have considered that you should think about before you accept any kind of offer, freelance, full-time. So, I have been working professionally for over 5 years, and that means that I have been basically receiving a salary or offering a service in exchange for money for the past 5 or more years actually. And when I have conversations with people about work, something that comes up a lot is like dissatisfaction with salaries, or feeling like they lowball themselves, whether for a freelance client or for a full-time job. And whenever I read articles or tweets, that's something that comes up a lot. So something that you should think about before you accept any offer is, don't feel like you need to accept it immediately, whether it's a freelance offer or a full-time offer. It's very exciting when you get an offer, especially if it's the first time you're getting a job offer, or if you have been trying to find something for a while. You feel like you need to accept this right now because it is right there. Even if you feel like you're satisfied with what you can see the first time you look at it, take your time, because the more you think about it, the more you might identify things that might be wrong with it. Even if the salary that is there is 3 times more than what you were initially expecting or what you thought you would receive, it doesn't mean you should accept it immediately. Think about the benefits: remote working, health insurance, pension, sick days, leave days, and so forth, because you want to ask questions and make sure that you're covering everything that needs to be thought of. And then secondly, always have somebody look over your contracts and offers, preferably a lawyer, because there are things that you might not understand. For example, non-compete clauses, things relating to intellectual property, and more. And make sure that you look it over with a fine-tooth comb. If you can't afford to give a lawyer, give somebody else who you know can help you, and look over it with a fine-tooth comb to be sure that you're not missing out on any details, because the language that is used in contracts is very, very important. And so you want to be sure that you're not signing anything that you're not comfortable with. Third, if an offer has an expiry date that doesn't work for you, let them know that that doesn't work for you and that you need an extension. So for example, if they say, oh, we need a response by tomorrow, if they insist, that feels a bit shitty. So you want to let them know that, oh, I can't give you a decision by tomorrow because I need to review this with my friends or my family or my lawyer. Doesn't matter who you say, just tell them that you need to review it with somebody, so that they should give you some time. And if you have another offer, or if you're waiting for another company, you can also tell them that you're waiting on an offer from another organization, so you can make a commitment. And then you can use this, your offer, to speed up the process with the other organization and say, hi, I have a new offer from another organization, but I would like to proceed with the organization, so what can we do to move the process faster? Right, so don't be afraid that you lose your offer because you took some time to think about it. Hiring is lengthy, it's stressful for everybody involved, and if you have made it to the stage of receiving an offer, then they like you and they want you. So don't feel pressured that you must accept it right now. Except it's clearly stated that this is the best they can do, because there's some organizations where they have this policy where the first offer they give you is the best offer that they can give you. And even then, I'm sure that there are things that you can compromise on or get better like things up from, so like in terms of leave days or remote working opportunities, for example. So except where it's clearly stated, you can almost always get a better offer. So I've talked about 3 things to consider before you accept an offer. So now 3 other things that you should do before you accept an offer. So continuing from number 3, so now we're going to number 4. Always negotiate and ask questions. So the most important negotiating tip that you need to know is that you must always be willing to walk away. If you're not willing to walk away, you're going to end up in situations that you are not happy about. And this has been my experience. I don't know about other people, but every time where I felt like I had to take an offer, I've always felt bad about it afterwards. So always be willing to walk away, because if you feel like you don't have an option, you will feel stuck. Before you get into any negotiations, consider what your breaking point is. Consider whatever your minimum point is, and then add 50%. Right? There's no science, but always add a little more than whatever your first figure is, because the tendency that most people have is to underprice and undervalue themselves. Second thing you need to think about is expanding the pie. So that's point 5. When you're negotiating, expand the pie. Expanding the pie is about creating a win-win situation. Look at the total package, right? Don't just look at salary, for example. What matters to you and what matters to the organization? What else can you get? Can you get more time off? Can you get a personal development fund? If remote work is not the standard in the organization, can you get that? Can you work 4 days a week instead of 5, or 3 days a week instead of 5? Or 2 days remotely and 3 days from the office? Do you get catered lunch? Do you get transport stipend? So you need to figure out what are the things that you can do to expand the pie, instead of just feeling like it's a lose-win or win-lose situation. You can create a situation in which everybody wins. Do you get a severance package? This is something that I never thought about. And when I was fired from my first job because there was a reorganization and my role was made redundant and all of that, I was left with nothing. I didn't know about severance packages. So here's my free tip to you. Always think about severance packages. And then finally, the 6th thing is to consider deductions. When it comes to your salary, at least for people in Nigeria, you have no business with your gross income. I don't care what your gross income is. At least I don't care what your gross income is. I don't even pay attention to it. I just want to know how much is entering my accounts. And then that means you need to think about deductions. So you have to ask. Whenever they give you an offer and it's in gross terms, always ask for a breakdown. Imagine you get an offer that is, say, 200,000 naira a month, and then when they pay you salary, you get 175,000. My friend, that is what is called deductions. Taxes, pensions, all those other things. You need to be very clear about what kinds of deductions are being made. I've seen where somebody got a gross salary of 350,000, but the amount that he actually got in their account was less than 200,000. That's 150,000 in deductions. So you want to see exactly how much is going to you, and you want to make sure that your employer is paying your pension. Those are all my tips for you for considering things to consider when you are when you get an offer, and I hope that this helps you. Thank you for listening to this episode of A Couple of Things. If you enjoyed it or you learned something new, please share, and remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. If you're listening or you can rate and review, please leave a review. Bye.